Woo! What carnage, right? All right, let's recap book 22 of the Odyssey and introduce the final book that we will read, book 23 of the Odyssey. All right, so here's what happened. Oh, Odysseus, he strings the bow real fast. Wachoo! With the arrows straight through the 12 axe heads. All the suitors are like, whoa, whiplash, right? And all of a sudden, Athena takes off the disguise, the beggar's disguise, and there's Odysseus in all of his mighty glory. And the suitors are like, what? And all of a sudden, Odysseus takes his bow and arrow and like, pa-ching! And we see Antinous. You remember that guy? We don't like that guy. He threw a chair at Odysseus at that one time. You remember that one time he threw that chair? Oh, we don't like that guy. He's been a thorn in our side for a while. And so Odysseus decides, I'm going to get this guy first. And so, pow! And then all of a sudden the arrow, it describes it very gross. Right? And I read that metaphor and simile with it, and I was like, ooh, that's a good metaphor and simile. It's gross. So the simile is, it says that his nostrils were like pipes. Ooh, that's nice. And then there was a river of blood. The river of blood. Lovely, lovely metaphor there. It's comparing the blood that kind of squirted out of the pipes, if you will, like a river. And that's, what effect does that have? It gives us the amount of blood that occurs, doesn't it? 'Cause river, you don't think of like just a trickle, do ya? No, there's like a river of blood happening. And pipes, I don't think of just like small little straws. No, I think of pipes. The nostrils being pipes. Isn't that gross? Oh, it's nasty. Homer, why you do this to us? Anyway, so there goes Antinous. And at first all the men are like, oh, is that an accident? Man, you're bad at shooting arrows. And so they think it's all just a little funny haha. And here comes Eurymachus, and Odysseus is not messing around. He's like, who's next? And all of a sudden Eurymachus, the other really outspoken suitor that we don't like, Eurymachus is like, whoa, Odysseus, hey, welcome back. So here's what happened. The ringleader of us all, he's really to blame for this, right? He's the one who rallied all of us up, said, go ahead and eat this, drink that, take over Odysseus, and said, oh, that's you, your house. He's the one who made us do this. It's not our fault. And you just killed that guy. You just killed the ringleader, Antinous. Yeah. So really, we're good. Justice has been served. Great job. And we suitors, we're going to pay you back. We're going to give you 20 oxen. We'll give you more than that. We'll give you more than we ever took. Yeah, just leave us alone. Made the bloodshed stop. And of course, Odysseus, in his rage, he's like, no. And then the arrows start flying, right? And there's death over here and death over there and death. And people start begging Odysseus for mercy. And he's like, no, did you give mercy to my wife? And he's like, ah. And we see this kind of just rage from Odysseus. It's like he has taken all of the pent-up rage from all of his journeys, all of his entrapment with Calypso, his dealings with Polyphemus, his survival that he had to go through with Scylla and Charybdis and all this jazz. And he took that and he used it against the suitors, all right? So at this point, Athena helps him in two ways. Number one, she's hanging back as the mentor. They call her the mentor. And she is helping him by deflecting the arrows. At one point, there is some threatening of escape. And that's because Telemachus forgot to lock the storeroom. You know, kids. What are you going to do? And so the men do get some weapons. And Telemachus is very quick to say, hey, that's my bad. Sorry. forgot to lock the storeroom. My bad. And so the suitors do get some weapons and they attempt to escape and whatnot. And Athena deflects some arrows and whatnot. And then later on, she shows up in the hall as a giant shield. And that's very symbolic. That's like Athena is protecting Odysseus. It's like Odysseus is the chosen one, and she is going to defend him like a shield, no matter what. And so that is a sign to the suitors that they really don't know what they're messing with here. They do not want to mess with the gods. Just lie down and die a noble death here. And in the midst of all this, Telemachus encounters two individuals that he wants Odysseus to save. Well, Odysseus is about to kill this minstrel. What's a minstrel? It's a person who sings. So in Greek mythology, you have a lot of these. Sometimes they're called bards. Sometimes they're called minstrels, where their only job is to tell stories and sing songs to entertain everybody. Because guess what? They don't have Netflix. They don't have TikTok. It's like a whole problem. So what's their TikTok? What's their Netflix? The minstrel that goes around with the lyre, and they're just like bing, 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 bing. And they, because that's what lyres sound like. Bing, 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 and you get it. And so Telemachus and Odysseus spare this minstrel. Great. And so then later they spare this herald. Now, what is a herald? A herald is someone who introduces people formally, like usually in medieval castles, they're the ones saying, "Introducing Madam blah 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 and blah 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 blah, Prince blah 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 boo and blah 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 blah," right? They're the ones that introduce people. They have loud booming voices, and they are official servants that herald people in. That they also tell stories sometimes as well. And so in fights, they're like the announcers whenever fights happen too. It's kind of fun. All right, so this herald, Telemachus, says he's a loyal guy. You gotta protect that guy. And he says, "Where is that guy?" And this herald pops up from underneath the table. He's like, "I'm here." Anyways, so those are the two guys that Odysseus and Telemachus spare in this carnage. So long story short here, lots of death, lots of blood. And in the lovely edition from Gareth Hines, man, they're at the end of this book, they're mopping up this giant pool of blood from the hall. And I'm like, oh, that's nasty. And who gets to do that? The maids. Now, I abridged, let's say, some of this book because towards the end, Odysseus is not a nice man. He knows that a lot of the maidservants, those ones that Eurycleia locked up during this whole thing so that they couldn't help out the dudes in the hall, a lot of them, their loyalties aren't so great. And they went in with some of the suitors, and it was like a whole mess. Ugh, hate that. And so Odysseus has a plan for them. And it's not pretty, y'all. I didn't like that side of Odysseus personally. So Odysseus has them first and foremost mop up the Great Hall, clean it up. In fact, he cleanses it with fire and brimstone. Interesting, right? That's pretty symbolic right there. It's like he's burning everything. Now, of course, these would have been made with, his Great Hall would have been made with stone. So it's not going to destroy his Great Hall. It's just going to get rid of germs, really. Yeah, lots of germs. Get rid of that. But anyways, so he cleanses it with fire. It's like he's starting over again. Like you burn down a forest and it's reborn, kind of. Yeah, it's very symbolic. Interesting. He's starting anew. And so he does that. He makes the women drag these bodies out and pile them up and whatnot. And he makes them cleanse this great hall. Oh, yuck. No thanks. And then he has them killed. Like the disloyal ones, he has those women killed. Yikes. So I did not enjoy reading that part of the Odyssey personally. Do you think, my question to you is, do you think that these killings were justified? Do you think Odysseus was justified in killing these men, even the ones that begged him for mercy? The maidservants? Do you think he should have killed those maidservants? I don't know. I am a pacifist, which means that I don't believe in violence so much unless it is absolutely necessary. But by golly, this was a lot of death in the Great Hall. I just don't know if it was all very necessary. You remember when Eurymachus said, hey, we'll give you back everything that we took from you, plus. I think that was probably a good offer. I think Odysseus should have taken that offer. But that's me. What do you think? All right, so we have book 23 coming up next. This is the last book that we'll read. There is a book after that. Book 24 features the families of the suitors coming back in retaliation. And so this is what Odysseus was really worried about. And we're going to see what happens. Gareth Hines, in our graphic novel, he does address that book in his graphic novel. So book 23 opens, and Odysseus, and Penelope are going to reunite officially, not as a beggar, after 20 whole years. Now remember, Penelope has lost hope of her husband, so she actually was not in the Great Hall whenever all this carnage went down. Telemachus had her go to her room because it was too much for her to bear. Just go to your room, Mom. And so, lovely, right? And so Penelope is only hearing about this from another maidservant. Eurycleia comes in and she's like, listen here. Here's what happened. Everyone is dead. Your husband's back. Oh my goodness, you've got to come meet your husband. And she's like, sure, Eurycleia. Have you been drinking? What's going on? I don't believe it. And so Penelope is going to have a little test for her would-be husband. So that's what's going to go on in book 23. Now I want you to pay close attention to symbolism in this book 23. All right, enjoy.